Up next is Blake, Huey, and introducing him is Michael.
The first time I met Blake was at lacrosse camp when one of us said, "Hey, are you bad at this too?" Cool. We made it through that week with only a few bruises, courtesy of the huge 7th graders, Patrick, Madison, and Rhodes. From there, we proceeded to play video games for the next 3 years of our lives. I'm still not sure whether the girls were as impressed as we had hoped when we bragged about getting sweet headshots in Halo, killing thousands of zombies in Dead Rising, or our greatest accomplishment, conquering the endless setlist on Rock Band, along with 3 2-liters, 8 bags of mini muffins, and a tube of Bengay for my carpal tunnel. Yeah, that doesn't just happen in South Park, apparently. I thought I'd tell everybody 3 defining characteristics of Blake Allen Huey, or Caleb, his alias. It's all the letters in his name rearranged. He thinks it's really cool. Blake is an individual. If you've ever stared at the back of his head like I do all the time, you might notice this freaky blonde patch making up one of his many beautiful curls. I don't know if he's some kind of mutant or if he dyes it constantly, but it's definitely unique. He also spills his water every time he tries to drink out of a cup, has a candy diet that rivals the poor health of Will Ferrell and Elf, and doesn't care about what anybody thinks. A skill he's taught me is actually a pretty good way to make friends. Blake is humble. His female interactions are often very secretive. Whether making friends with a redhead at a party, hanging out in the Wilburn room, or making friends with a certain girl his father forbid him from ever making friends with, I probably won't find out until months later. When he gives his classic, "Oh, I thought I told you about that." Blake is a bully. Don't cross him if he is in his trip much phase, his slap people in the face and see their reaction phase, or if you're Hannah. He also thinks this joke is funny. How do you stop a bus? Throw a puppy in front of it. Luckily, I think it's funny too. A bonus characteristic I'll let you guys in on: Blake is not a hugger, or really a toucher at all. And even though we agreed upon a sweet handshake that goes like this, I'm about to break the big guy's rule and give him a hug.
Movies, the long and underrated form of education. For some reason, Collegiate's course catalog has yet to include a film studies class. And why is that? Because society tells us that movies are garbage, and if you want to learn something, you should read a book. I'm in no way discounting reading, but I believe that film as a form deserves more credit. Time spent watching movies is not time wasted. I believe that is time enriched. I have learned more from movies that I think is valuable than nearly any other medium. The problem is that people don't believe that they could learn so much from something they enjoy every minute of. That something so fun goes so well with popcorn could be the fuel for the hungry mind is blasphemy. Thus, we've been conditioned to believe that movies are unimportant by people who are too stubborn to admit that something fun may be something great. So to prove that movies have taught me priceless real-world lessons, I will list 20 movies and what the movies have brought me. Lion King taught me how to be strong and never turn my back on my home. Good Will Hunting taught me how to open up so that people can help. The Boondock Saints taught me that it's better to do the wrong thing for the right reason than the right thing for the wrong reason. The Paranormal Activity series taught me to stay away from girls that belong to an evil witch coven. Wall Street taught me how to exploit the country's economy in my favor. The number 23 taught me not to think about the number 23. The Saw series taught me to appreciate the life I have. Catch Me If You Can taught me that money means nothing if you've no one to share it with. Ghost taught me that Demi Moore looks better with longer hair. Titanic taught me what perfect love is, as cheesy as that sounds. Shawshank Redemption taught me that there's good in everyone. The Lord of the Rings trilogy taught me tons of things, including the strength of friendship and how to speak a couple words of Elvish. Fight Club taught me the rules of Fight Club, 2 of which I've just broke. Even some of the worst movies, like Sound of Music, taught me the basic notes are do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Ocean's 11 taught me how to rob a casino. Ocean's 12 taught me how to rob a different casino. 7 taught me the 7 deadly sins. Human Centipede taught me that you never want to be position B. The King's Speech taught me how to overcome even the most difficult challenges, including speeches. And lastly, Anchorman taught me the value of owning many leather-bound books, having an apartment that smells of rich mahogany. If that list does not convince you that immense knowledge is to be absorbed by film fans from movies, then you are not listening. Clearly, I feel very passionate about movies, and I bet you are wondering where that comes from. Fret not, I will tell thee. My desire to watch tons of movies stemmed from my viewing of the TV show Community. On the show, there is a character that relates every person, place, and problem to a corresponding event, person, or problem in the movie. Even though it is a scripted television show, I became convinced that it was in fact possible to relate everything to movies. Thus began my film education. And now that I have seen a huge chunk of movies, I'm pretty confident that you can relate anything to them. By now, I'm sure my lit class is tired of me interrupting to say things like, oh, like in Fight Club, or yeah, kind of like Inception. But really, movies are important to me because they present fictional stories using relatable themes. Whether a film makes you laugh or it makes you cry, it's nice to get lost in the story. I believe that at the end of every movie, there is something you can bring back to reality. Whether that be a life lesson, a tragic ending that makes you appreciate what you have, or that it just cheers you up. Value can be found wherever you look for it. Now lastly, I'd like to thank a few people. First, I'd like to thank Quentin Tarantino for making great movies. Next, I'd like to thank the nice people at the Bardstown Road Blockbuster and whoever created Netflix. Without them, none of this would be possible. And lastly, I'd like to thank the Academy.